All right, welcome back to On Texas Football. Welcome to On Texas Basketball, special live edition of On Texas Basketball. Jerry, the last time we did a watch along, we did one for the season opener against Duke, so we did one for the first one. Hopefully, this isn't the last game we're doing this for. It's Texas and Gonzaga in the round of 32. Winner advances to the Sweet 16. It's in Portland. Tip off in about 3-ish minutes. We are I've got the TV on TBS. It's showing TBS/True TV. I'm on TBS, but we've got you for the watch long. We're going to do some analysis. We've got the running box score, so hopefully we can keep you entertained while the Longhorns playing this game. And Jerry, we talked about it a lot on the channel when we talked about expectations and what we expect. This to me is an icing on the cake type game, and I have no expectations for today. We'll see what happens, but I just keep going back to the fact that this team has a chance to get to the second weekend. It makes a hell of a first year for Sean Miller.
Yeah, it does. I mean, look, Gonzaga, I think the line's up to 7, as that we said before we went on. They're a 7-point favorite for a reason, but that doesn't mean you can't beat a team, right? I mean, because Gonzaga is without Braden Huff, and he's arguably their best player, him and Graham Ike. So Gonzaga needs to shoot the three better without Braden Huff, and that's big for them. I think in this game, though, look, nobody's in Sean Miller's scouting report. Nobody's in Mark Few's scouting report, to be clear. But for me, looking from the outside in at this game, knowing a little, I think the Matas has to stay out of foul trouble, and Gonzaga says same thing. Ike's got to stay out of foul trouble. Whichever guy stays out of foul trouble, that team has a huge advantage in this game. And then I think the other thing at Gonzaga, look, they're one of the fastest playing teams in the country and have been for years. They call it fast execution offense. They want to get into a set within 5 seconds, or get in an attack position within 5 seconds. Get down the floor of the ball inbound, and they're ready or off the rim. They get down there. What they want to do is force a team where they test the team's transition defense over and over and over again. And they don't want teams to necessarily set their defense all the time. And I think Gonzaga is really going to try to push against Texas as much as possible. The way the game goes dictates a lot of this, but and see if Texas has any legs left in the last 8 minutes, because this is the third game in 5 days. And I know these guys are young. This is almost like NBA travel, too. You leave Austin, you fly to Dayton, you get on a 3 a.m. bird, go to Portland. I mean, this is almost like an NBA travel type of situation for Texas, 3 games in 5 days. And if I'm playing Texas, I want to see where their legs are at the last 8 minutes of the game, because Gonzaga's coming off playing the West Coast tournament, but they had time off to get their legs back. I think that's going to be interesting. Texas has to shoot the three, I think, about as well. If you said right now, would you take 8 for 22 from three? I would say absolutely, and walk away from the three. I think Texas needs 7 or 8 3-point makes like they had against BYU. It's going to be a faster paced game. And one of the things too, Tyron Grant Foster is a really good 6'7" defender. He can block shots. I think Dalen Swain getting him off his feet in that matchup is going to be key. But Gonzaga is a bigger, longer team on the perimeter and as a whole than Texas is. So it's going to be a very interesting game to see what happens. But Gonzaga is vulnerable without Braden Huff. They're still a 7-point favorite, but we'll see. The West Coast Conference has gone home. Santa Clara lost to Kentucky. St. Mary's lost to A&M by double digits. So let's see what happens. I mean, this is icing on the cake type of situation for me with Texas basketball right now. But let's see if they can pull off an upset and be a 11 seed in the Sweet 16. It would be a great story.
Yeah, Jerry, I was just looking back at the series. Gonzaga leads the all-time series with Texas 4-1. And just looking back at some of the games, obviously they had the home and home recently, Chris Beard's first year, and then halfway through his second year, he actually did coach that game against Gonzaga, where Texas rolled Gonzaga at Moody Center. But Jerry, there's an 87-77 victory for Gonzaga in Phoenix against a Kevin Durant Texas team back in the 06-07 season. There's also a Jerry, I don't know if you remember this one. How about a third place game in a PK80 Classic on November 15, 2017, the Mo Bamba year, where Texas went to the PK80 Classic. That PK80 Classic got me juiced up on that team, because they had a really competitive game against Duke when I thought Duke was going to run them out of the gym, and then they took Gonzaga to overtime. But nonetheless, Texas looking for Second one in the series will be the second straight win. And I guess we're off and running already.
Statcast is way ahead of the TV feed, that's for sure. Texas already scored a bucket. There you go.
Very much.
It's always a good sign when Jordan Pope hits a bucket early. Not trying to give it away, but the stats are ahead, so I don't even know what to say about that at this point. Yeah, look, there and the Chris Beard, they had two tremendous games there. One was ugly for Texas at Gonzaga. That was at Gonzaga. That was a tough environment. And Texas came back and got after them that second go round. So they've had a lot of history. Mark Few has a lot of respect for State of Texas, University of Texas athletics and program. You could tell in this press conference.
Jared, correct me if I'm wrong. They had an extended period there. I believe it was when Rick was still coaching at Texas, where they would meet up maybe in Phoenix or Denver for some preseason close scrimmages for a bit.
Yeah. Yep, they did. They did. So we're at 2-2 here. Second offensive possession for Tremont Mark. Everything's ball screen game through Matas. Mark just pulls up. That's the one thing for Mark and Swain, especially maybe Mark in this game. Gonzaga's got more length to defend him in the mid-range game than BYU did.
Yep.
So the two teams Texas has played to this point don't have a lot of length in their perimeter necessarily. We're not leave AJ DeVance out of it, these Gonzaga has a little more length to defend Swain and Mark with. That's just something to watch in this game. They got a number of 6'4", 6'5", 6'7", 6'6" guys that they can throw at people.
Jerry, we haven't even talked about this. I haven't even asked you about it, so I'll ask you on air. Did you get any sourced feedback, your program sources, on what the Texas staff thought of DeBanza after getting to face him in the first round?
Oh, just an absolute great player. Number one pick in the draft. I think their thought is he's one and Acuff's two. Yeah. And Darren Peterson's an unbelievable talent for sure. But I'm not necessarily in disagreement with them. If they went 1-2, it wouldn't shock me.
I don't like Modest picking up his first foul before the first media timeout.
Yeah. Wow. Push from behind. So look, I mean, I think whichever big stays out of foul trouble has a big advantage. The other thing is, I think Texas early on, you see that length of Gonzaga is going to be able to defend them a little different on the perimeter in the first two opponents. So I think Texas is going to have to – Mark's going to have to draw a little more contact in this game.
Yeah, you mentioned the length, Jerry. It's interesting. His first two field goal attempts didn't draw iron from about the free throw line extended on a jumper, and then didn't draw iron on a three-point attempt. So,
yeah, I think I'd have to see the replay. I thought the second one may have been fingertipped. I couldn't see if the rotation changed, but they have more length. I mean, that's the whole thing. I think Texas is going to they're getting comfortable against the length. They're going to have to take that extra. They're going to have to try to draw some contact in this game.
If Cam Heidi's making plays on defense, you've got a chance.
Jordan Pope. That's the other interesting thing in this game, okay, is Gonzaga. They have a freshman guard from Spain who's a really good player, by the way. That was a good back cut. But they have a freshman guard, 3 names, who's a really good player. The Wardley kid, the point guard for them, essentially point guard, he'll play post defense. He's from FSU, transfer from FSU. He's like 6'7", big guy on the perimeter. They got some switchability on their defense, some positional switchability, something to follow in this game as well. As we see here, Gonzaga, again, that they'll use them in the ball screen game. What they do a lot with their bigs over the years is dive them hard. Now, Braden Huff could shoot it decently. I think they'll dive with Ike hard unless Matas is just not even going to play him at the top of the key. I think they want to dive Ike hard and get Texas in the foul trouble.
Jerry, I don't know where you are. I'm about 30 seconds behind on my stream.
From the StatCast?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just gave Matas put a good hand up and contested drive. So we're at the under 16 timeout at 6-4. Going about like you expect, right? I mean, there's adjustment periods for both these teams early in these games. I mean, you look at all the games, TCU's right there with Duke. St. Louis is right there with Michigan. A&M was right there with U of H for a lot of the first half. And then once we get into that 8 minute, 6 minute area of the first half, that's kind of when you say, okay, is there going to be any separation in these games a little bit? Or are we going to go in the half? Like TCU went in the half, I think, down 4. So how much separation, if Gonzaga is the favorite, can they create in the first half in those last few minutes? That I think when you watch these games, that's really what it's come down to. I mean, look, Gonzaga ain't Michigan, right? Gonzaga is not U of H either. But that's how you kind of see these games play out in the NCAA tournament for the most part, unless somebody goes on a 3-point barrage run.
It's pretty interesting, Jerry, when you look at Texas, because there haven't been too many games where they've avoided fouling a bunch. But the BYU game, the first half of that BYU game is a really good example of, man, when they don't foul with their rebounding advantage, man, they can get out and run and really push the pace. We just haven't been able to see them do that too much because, their fouls tend to really bog the game down.
Yeah, and absolutely. By the way, early on, Gonzaga 0 for 3 from 3, something to watch. Rebounds are 4 even in this game. Matas has the only personal foul in this game. Turnovers are tied at 1. So I think the big part for Gonzaga in this game is how do they make threes in this game at all? Because they did not shoot it well against Kennesaw State. And they're not as good offensively without Braden Huff. Even Mark Few talked about it. They've had to kind of change multiple times this year how they play offensively and how they attack offensively. So it's a totally different team. They need some guys to step up on the perimeter if they're going to win this game and if they're going to really go on in the NCAA tournament and have success, because the winner of this game is going to play the winner of Purdue or Miami, which are totally contrasting teams tomorrow. A total contrast in teams tomorrow. But for Texas and Gonzaga, I think an interesting thing about Texas is what Gonzaga can do with their length is they can close down wing to middle driving lanes. They can close down the lanes with length as much as quick feet. So how is Texas going to combat that? What's Sean Miller going to do offensively to combat that length that helps you close down those driving angles when you're coming from wing towards middle? Because Gonzaga can definitely do that. And I think another big thing as we get into this game is who from Texas can create space against these longer guys on the perimeter defensively, or taller guys who can create space for good looks. Obviously, Jordan Pope is that guy because I think he's got the most favorable matchup because he's quicker than who he's playing against. But I think this is why it's going to be big for Tremont Mark to maybe try to get into the painted area a little bit more in this game, even though his strength is 15, 17 feet. I think those are going to be really tough shots in this game. I think he's got to try to draw some contact and get to the free throw line in this game.
All right. Nick Cody's hitting jumpers. Cam Heidi's getting steals. It's kind of stuff you need, Jerry. You need the little things if you're going to win a game like this.
I mean, Nick Cody hitting a jumper, that's a heck of an early sign for Texas. That's not anything I would bet on in a game right now, but it's good. Well, he had a jump hook, which he'd been short on over Ike. He'd been short on every jump hook in this tournament so far. So I'm glad to see him get one over the rim. And you got to attack Ike. You got to make him defend no matter who's on him. Maybe you pick up a cheap foul, but you got to make him defend. He's got to play heavy minutes for Gonzaga.
I'll be honest, Jerry, I hadn't seen too much of Gonzaga. You watch them earlier in the year and then kind of out of sight, out of mind until the Kennesaw State game. Fogel's a really good player for them.
Yeah, he's very good. He started the season not playing many minutes at all, but then after Braden Huff's injury, as the season had settled in, and he was starting to get more minutes, he was starting to build a little bit. But once Huff went down, it's like, hey, man, it's everybody's got to pick up their game. But Fogel is a really good player, absolutely. See, they're not going to guard Kendall Weaver. Here's the thing. NC State didn't even guard Kendall Weaver. Gonzaga is not going to crowd Kendall Weaver at all. They're going to say, all right, catch it wherever you want, and we'll see what happens. But Kendall Weaver is not a guy people defend. So Kendall, this may be a game against, considering the opponent you're playing against, he may need to take a couple of threes and hopefully make a three. And I know he doesn't shoot it well. He's had a couple of good games. But just watch Kendall Weaver right now. They don't even guard him.
Yeah.
Watch him on the right wing. They don't even guard him. They're not concerned with him. So that puts intense pressure. You can't play 4-on-5 against Gonzaga. Kendall Weaver's going to have to catch it and shoot it on the perimeter a couple of times. I mean, that's just the reality of this game. He's got to make himself be a defended basketball player. Right now, Gonzaga's like, we don't care what you do. Play on the perimeter by yourself. Go dribble 10 times. We don't care. We're not going to guard you. So Kendall Weaver is going to have to find a little something in this game to where he's like, I'm going to take a couple of threes. I can't let them put a foot in the paint when I have the ball at 22 feet. It can't be that way. That's what NC State did to him. But you're playing a better team than NC State today.
You are, and this is one of those lineups where, I mean, you run the risk of empty possessions. You've got what you've got, but man, when you've got Nick Cody and Kendall Weaver on the floor together, that's just not. You're making it easier for the other team defensively.
Yeah, James Lee, this could get ugly. I mean, who knows, man? It's you never know in these games. You never know with these games.
Jerry,
these games haven't been ugly for teams until late in the first half or midway through the second half. But Texas I can say this from talking to people. Texas thought they matched up pretty well with Gonzaga. They just have to keep Matas out of foul trouble in this game. The longer they need to keep Matas's minutes around 25, 26, like he has been all season in game 3 and 5 days. But I mean, who thought Nick Cody's having the game he is? But I think they got to keep Matas's minutes a little down in this game, else he'll get in foul trouble.
It's a hell of a steal by Swain.
I mean, Gonzaga just look, and if you're Mark Few, you're like, my gosh, we're 0 for 5 from 3. We've seen this before. So that's the thing with Gonzaga. We talk about Texas. I mean, look, they're not even going to guard. I don't like that shot by Cody. I'm glad he made a couple of layups, and then he gives up. Then he doesn't get back on defense. I mean, that's a poor play by Nick Cody. Poor play. You can't shoot top of the key 3 as a 5-man in this game and then not get back on defense.
Yeah.
Those are plays that lose you games like this. Swain's improved so much shooting the basketball, man. Yeah, for those that don't know, I haven't followed Dalen Swain. He's made a lot of raise up late shot clock threes against NBA size athletes this year. For those that don't know about Dalen Swain, I think he was 4.25 from 3 his freshman year. It got to the point where Sean Miller wouldn't even let him shoot the basketball. Year 2, not let him shoot threes because he knew that wasn't his game. That was going to be an overtime thing. Last year, he had a couple of good games. But outside of that, I think he shot about 25%, 24 something. He's now, if you count the last 22 games of the season, he is now at about 38.5% from 3. That is a meteoric rise for a guy who his freshman year, they wouldn't let shoot the 3. I mean, that's a meteoric rise of a basketball player, and that's a big – he's always been a good playmaker. He's always had that size. He has that herky-jerky game off the bounce. He rebounds it well for his position. He's a playmaker. I mean, he's asked to do more than on a team than maybe anybody right there with Acuff and Boozer, especially Boozer without Caleb Foster. But to do that and improve like he has from the 3, kudos to him. That's why he's got a chance now to be a first-round draft pick.
Yeah, coming into the game, Jerry, he was about 34%, a little over 34% on the year from 3. In SEC play, he was almost 39% from three.
Yeah.
All right, so you get Modest and Heidi checking back in after this media timeout. All right, if you're audio only or anything else, so we've got Gonzaga with an 18-15 lead on Texas, 9:37 to go in the first half. We got the second media timeout. Jerry, any thoughts based on what we've seen through the first? We're midway through the first half already. Man, this game is the pace is pretty quick in this one.
Yeah, look, I mean, I like that Texas has one foul in this ball game. I mean, it's important to have all your best five in the last 8 minutes of this game, be able to play with freedom and not lose their aggressiveness because they're in foul trouble. I think part of the thing that people kind of forget about the NC State game is Swain had a couple of fouls pretty early in that game. That takes away your aggressiveness as an offensive player. You're less willing to fly into that contact with your body and try to get to the free throw line. So I hope that Texas keeps their guys out of foul trouble. Look, I mean, Gonzaga's a 7-point favorite for a reason. I think anybody can win this game. Would it shock me if Gonzaga won by 12? No. Would it shock me if Texas won by 3? No. Because Gonzaga's not making threes. I mean, if they shoot a 4 for 20, 4 for 19 from three, I mean, they have to play exceptionally well around that. But I think the big thing for Texas, and they hit the couple of back doors there with Cody, I think with Tremont Mark. Texas is going to have to put some pressure on Gonzaga in those situations because Mark Few knows his length on the perimeter is an issue for Texas. These are much more contested looks than Texas had to make against NC State or even had to make against BYU. Different level of lengthy roster on the perimeter defensively. So even any time a Gonzaga will switch, it's still another tall player. They don't have any midgets out there. So it's going to be contested. I mean, Worley's 6'7". The freshman from Spain, 6'3", 6'4". You just go down the list. All their perimeter guys are tall. So that's where Texas really has to adjust is they got to create a little more space or they're going to have to score with more movement from the middle of the floor, from the corners, from the wings. They're going to have to create a little more scoring outside of the jump shooting over the taller arms.
For those interested in the Texas baseball team, their series at Auburn this weekend, brutal, absolutely brutal loss last night. Took a 3-1 lead to the bottom of the ninth, lost in walk-off fashion. Right now, I'm not watching the game. I've got the stats feed pulled up. Texas has bases loaded with one out in the top of the second against Auburn. So hopefully they can get him a crooked number here.
Yeah, good. Sesby, how do you feel about the air balls? No different than I feel about Gonzaga's 0 for 5 from 3. I mean, at this point, one was probably tipped. I think that's what I've been saying. Texas has to adjust to playing against these lengthier guys on the perimeter because the last 2 games they haven't. Outside of the bad stuff, they haven't. Rob Wright's a 6-foot guy. He doesn't affect jump shots. They just didn't have that type of team defensively. Gonzaga has one of the taller, longer perimeter defenses in the country. They're not Duke. Don't get me wrong. Duke's the best at that, but they have really good length on the perimeter.
And Jerry, what you said earlier about Modest, his minutes, obviously a big part of that is you want to keep his fouls down, but yeah, he's too good a free throw shooter to miss 7 in a row. The other night against BYU, I think he just didn't have any legs by the end of the game.
He didn't have any legs, and after you miss 2 or 3, you feel nervous because it's the NCAA tournament, right? I mean, there's a dunk by Matas there. Then you get nervous after you miss a couple or 3, right? But I think he had dead legs. He was arm shooting him. I mean, he played 33 minutes coming off the first round game, and he's averaged 25.7 minutes per game this year. So he played 8 minutes more on a quick turnaround than he normally does. So, and it was a very physical game, and he was dominating the game. And it's just he had more on his plate in that game. There's Ike with a 3. I think you're going to have to. That's the problem for Matas having a foul. He may need to crowd one more step, but then you get into the rotational type of defensive situation where you're trying to rush to get back to the paint if you get driven on or somebody throws the ball inside the paint. So that was a good bucket there by Texas. So 21-19. Mm. Tipped eye. Weaver was a little out of control there. One thing at Weaver offensively for him, and we'll see what he does. I mean, he may be able to play a lower level pro basketball somewhere, have a career. After he creates the explosive move, a spin move, he's then got to be able to gear down as an offensive player. Right now, he doesn't really have the gear down part of it. He's going to have to gear down if he's, if he'll play somewhere overseas, probably not one of the better leagues. I mean, there's been a lot of guys that play overseas, but he's going to have to learn to gear down after the explosiveness. Gear down, then gear back up. Right now, he's an easy scout because everything's full speed.
And if you gave me a hybrid, if you took Weaver's athleticism with like DeMarcus Holland with his feel for the game back in the day, shoot, Jerry, I'd win a lot of games with that guy.
So we'll be getting the under 8 timeout here coming up pretty quick.
Yep.
That was a good penetration. Ike missed a wide open 3, top of the key. Easiest shot in basketball from 3.
Yeah, Fogel got caught in no man's land there on the baseline.
Foul on Ike. So, okay, they both have 1 foul each going to the under 8 timeout, and it's a 23-19 Gonzaga over Texas. Gonzaga 1 of 7 from 3. Rebounds. They got a couple more rebounds in Texas, but just Texas just needs to keep – what Texas needs to do is keep this game within reach. Like A&M and U of H is a better team than Gonzaga, but A&M and U of H was right there. I think it was 27-24. Next time I looked up, it was 39-24. I mean,
yeah,
you just got to keep it. If you can keep it in reach, even if they get up 8-9 points at some point, these games a lot of times come back and tighten in the second half. You have to get this thing under 10 within reach, and then see if Gonzaga feels the pressure a little bit of this game. It's a home game for Gonzaga. Texas has played 3 road games in the NCAA tournament in a row, by the way. When you think about this, when they went up to Dayton, they were getting booed like crazy, right? That was the Xavier fans. They wanted nothing more than to see Texas lose. Then against the BYU, obviously, BYU type of home crowd environment. And now Gonzaga, obviously Gonzaga type of home environment. You're prepared for this in the SEC. You play some great venues against great teams. And I think the SEC really prepares you for the NCAA tournament because you play all different types of styles. It's like nothing Gonzaga is showing you here from a roster standpoint you haven't seen before. You've seen it at maybe a higher athletic level, but you've seen before. If you go play against the rugged team, you've played Tennessee. You've seen it before. If you play against a super fast pace, you won at Alabama. So whatever BYU threw at you, even though they have the best player in college basketball, you've seen the pace before. That's the one thing about the SEC. It prepares you because there's so many great coaches that play so many different styles. It really does prepare you for the NCAA tournament. Now, if you get beat, you get beat, but it's nothing you haven't really seen before. I haven't seen. I'm going to look right now. Guys? I can't see the score because with this game. So okay, TCU this is what I'm talking about with these games. TCU and Duke was 38-34 at halftime. 74-52 now with 3 minutes to go. These games they tend to spread unless one team just goes on a cold streak. They tend to have to spread or condense around 10 minutes to go later into that. Not everyone, but a lot of them. A&M was at 27-24. I turned off the TV and it was 39-24 next time I looked up when I came back. When I came back to the game. Pretty wild. U of H showing some power there. But Duke TCU, that was a later game momentum, kind of like Michigan did against St. Louis did. That was 59-53. I think it was like 17 minutes to go in the first half. And then Michigan turned that thing on. And it ended up being, 90-68. So a lot of times it's later in that around 12 minutes in, 10, 8, in that area where a team, if they're way more talented, kind of starts to take over that game, or they get you in the foul trouble and that really affects you in that game, or maybe you go through a stretch of not making shots in that game. So that's kind of how a lot of these games are going. Matas at the free throw line.
By the way, baseball, Texas with a 2-0 lead on Auburn going to the bottom of the second. So
Yep.
the Longhorns did get a crooked number in the top of the second. Hey, Jerry, who'd you have coming out of the West? You had Arizona, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think Arizona and Michigan's going to be a hellacious Final Four game.
Man, I'm chomping at the bit for a Sweet 16 between Arizona and Arkansas.
Yeah.
Co-Pete against Darius A.
I think that will happen because I credit the High Point, but I mean, they're about to see something in Arkansas they haven't seen this year. I mean, yeah, maybe they hit 15 threes, but we'll see. See, Gonzaga's going. This is what happened. This is going to be that game within the game here. Gonzaga is going to force Matas if they can. If Ike can make a couple of mid ranges, made the three, they're going to force Matas to have to play Ike. And this is the big part of this game is who's big gets in foul trouble first. Both of them have one right now. But Gonzaga is going to force Matas to either have to guard in a ball screen action, play drop coverage like that, or ended up guarding Ike out to 15 feet on the perimeter, which Texas does not want him to do.
All right, Longhorns over 3 minutes now without a field goal over their last 5 from the field. So this is the stretch where you really need to clamp down defensively to get you a stop. It's not that they're getting bad looks either, Jerry. I mean, Mark shot that in traffic, but the 3-point attempt Pope got a minute ago was a pretty clean look.
Yeah. Pope just got another clean look, just barely missing. Matas is lucky he didn't get a second right there over the back. DMS says Matas is 1 Euro that can't shoot free throws. There's more than one. But I would just say he's a young player, man. 68.5, 69% all year. If you're a young power big man, that's actually not bad. I know people's expectations are out of whack a lot of times on these guys, but he's still a young basketball player, man. I mean, these 60. If you told me before the season, I think he shot 63 his freshman year. If you told me he would shoot 68 and 69, that's a 5.5, 6 point percentage point improvement from his freshman year in college basketball. I would have taken that all day. Let's see if he can get up to 72 next year.
Yeah, he had the game earlier this year, talking about shooting free throws. He was 14 of 14 against Southern in a non-conference game. I don't care who you're playing against. You go 14 for 14 from the foul line. It's pretty dang good.
Forced turnover, that's good. Kind of halfway forced, halfway unforced. So 26-25, 13 remaining in the half here. Both teams 1 for 7 from 3. I think Texas, that should be an advantage in this game. If it's not an advantage, it's going to be tough for Texas. That should be Texas needs to make 7, maybe 8 threes in this game. In reality, it's going to be pure analytics in this game. They need to make 7 or 8. I mean, at the end of the day, that's gonna be the deal, because you're seeing that Gonzaga's length is going to make it much tougher on Texas in the mid range in this game. So they got to be able to knock down some threes.
All right, Sean Miller's going to burn a timeout. Gonzaga stretched this lead to 8. Longhorns over their last 6 from the field. Scoring drought's almost 3 minutes now.
Yeah, so I think Texas is going to have to they scored on a couple of backdoor slips type situation or rotation situation. I think Texas is going to need a couple more of those plays in the last 4 minutes of this half. But I think they need to hit a couple of threes late in this half. I mean, if they go in the half 1 for 10, 1 for 11, you're going to be down by double digits unless Gonzaga goes cold. But they just as analytics, I'm just telling you from an analytics standpoint, they need to find a way to hit. This game's a little slower paced right now, 6, 7, maybe 8 threes in this game. That's just going to be the Texas reality. And they're going to have to do it in really contested situations. And that's going to be big. But I think Texas is going to have to manufacture a couple of buckets through rotation, causing rotational defense.
That's why, Heidi has had one and Pope has had a couple where you've got about as clean a look as you're going to get tonight. It'll like for him to have made one of those.
This is Lesser Hollis Swain not playing. 5 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. He's definitely in a steal. He's definitely playing. And I know there's somebody else that he's been quiet this game and last game. I mean, really? 14, 5, and 6 last game. I mean, Dalen Swain's not a 30-point scorer. Dalen Swain's a 15, 20-point scorer. I mean, he's a 17.5 guy for a reason. And then you look up at the end of the game, and he's got those numbers. That's just all I'd say about Dalen Swain. If anybody's expecting him to go out and score 15 in the first half of any of these games, that's not who he is as a player. That has to be a lot of run-out situations and another team not playing well. That's not who he is as a player. That's not who he is. He plays an all-around basketball game. All right, so 28-20, 4 minutes to go. So we'll see coming out what Texas does offensively. We'll see what they do offensively because they're going to have to create. They're going to have to create again. I think they got to get to the free throw line. They've had 2 free throws, 4 minutes to go. So Tremont Mark is going to have to take that extra dribble and try to draw contact. I think they're going to have to play some guys on the move more, try to get some contact from Gonzaga. Unless the threes start going down, the contested threes over long arms, they're going to have to do it through some movement and try to get Gonzaga into a rotation where it's a foul to save a bucket. I think that's going to be big for Texas here in the last 4 minutes. Their 2 easiest buckets were obviously that way in this game.
Yeah, Buddy Pal Chief Big S says difference right now is rebounds. Teams are shooting about equally. I mean, Gonzaga's over about 57% from the field right now. Texas 9 for 24. The other thing that I'm with you, Jerry, you need to create more movement on offense because you got to try to draw some fouls. I mean, this Texas team has been one of the best free throw shooting teams. Modest's performance against BYU aside, this has been one of the better free throw shooting teams in the country that's got a pretty high free throw rate. I mean, you've been a top 10 team in adjusted offensive efficiency, and you've done it by being really good in the mid-range game, and you've been really good about drawing fouls and getting to the line.
There's high-low play, easy bucket, but foul before. So Texas is going to go a little bigger here with Cody and Matas. Cody scares me up top making passes. That is certainly a scary proposition. But so what Texas is doing here is they're going to play a little bigger, stronger with Kendall Weaver, but you're playing 4-on-5 on offense.
Yeah.
Essentially is what's going to happen here. You're playing 4-on-5. So you're going to have to have an unexpected guy help you offensively, whether that's Cody maybe hits a 3 in this game, whether that's Kendall Weaver hits a 3 or 2 in this game, like he's had a couple of games this season. You're going to have to get a little help somewhere else if you're going to play this bigger lineup because this is not an offensive lineup. Let's just say that. And there's a good pass from Matas to Nick Cody. If they're going to – I don't know why I wouldn't double Matas. I wouldn't bring a help defender at 15 feet. I'm glad Gonzaga did a little bit there. That helps Texas because this is not a good offensive team on the court for Texas. But it's their best chance rebounding the basketball.
That's all you need from Nick Cody right there. If he gets it at point blank range, he's just got to make those bunnies.
So look, I mean, we're at a 4-point game with under 3 timeout or under 3 minutes to go. I'm happy with this. It doesn't always have to look pretty. I'm happy with where Texas, that great feed there from the right wing. So we're at 30-26 with 2.5 minutes to go. Would you have taken that at the start of this game? I would.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to have a chance to win this basketball game. They are the better basketball team. There's a reason they're favored by 7. It's not BS. I just want to be in a position to win the game, have a chance to win the game late. That's all I ask for in games like this. Then it comes down to who makes the plays, who makes the shots. Ike's missed this last couple in the mid-range. They're pretty good defense by Pope. I mean, you're not going to stop him, but at least he made him work.
Yeah.
That shot.
And did it without fouling.
I mean, at games like this, I mean, the reality is, again, Texas has played in the SEC. It's a hellacious basketball conference. So you're not seeing anything you haven't seen before. Now it's just about can you make some shots in this game that are going to be highly contested. It's not like Texas is like, wow, this is something we haven't seen before. Not at all. But it gets down to just executing and making some shots. The Texas, again, they got to make some threes or have an unexpected hero in this game based on what I'm watching right now.
You know, Jerry, it's funny you bring that up because Schloss said that the other day. He's talking about baseball, but it applies to basketball. He said the league is so deep. It's so talented. When you get to postseason, there's not going to be anything you haven't seen at some point.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt. That's for the mid-majors that haven't seen all this stuff, right? That's who has to adapt. Now, Gonzaga, it ain't a mid-major basketball team, to be clear.
Right.
But like you watch St. Louis, Michigan today, and St. Louis, they had never played a team like Michigan.
No.
Pope would put on the line, good bucket there. They had never played a team like Michigan. I don't care if they played a couple of Power Fours. You hadn't played anybody like Michigan. And once they got into that game and they kept it close for a while, then they just got overwhelmed. So that's the one thing is Texas isn't going to get overwhelmed by anything they see. This is about executing in basketball right now. Great play. Great look, Pope. Great play, Weaver, running the lane, running the court opposite wing. So it's 33-32. 40 seconds to go. Texas will get at least one more possession out of this half. I hope everybody in the chat's happy. This is right where you want to be.
Wow, I didn't even realize we hadn't hit the under 4 timeout yet. Okay. Yeah, we talked about that shooting drought they had earlier, Jerry. I think they missed 6 or 7 in a row. 6 of your last 6 for Texas now.
They gave Pope a 3 on that, by the way. So it's the
they did change it. Yeah,
they changed that to it looks like they changed it to a 3.
Yeah, they did. Yep.
So 33 all, 40 seconds to go.
That's right. I mean, can't ask for anything better than that.
Yeah. I mean, look, rebounds haven't gotten away from you at 17-13. Look, Texas has 12 assists in this game, by the way. I mean, Gonzaga's got 14. So Texas is moving the basketball. And that's, I think, getting adjusted to Gonzaga, what they're doing now defensively and all that length. How do you play against that length? You got to play with more movement. You have to have some unlikely heroes. Think about this. Right now in this game, if I told you going into the game, Kendall Weaver would have 6 and Nick Cody would have 6 in the first half, literally nobody would have said that's going to happen.
I would have asked you, all right, how many fouls does Modest have?
Literally nobody. And that's the other thing, personal foul-wise. Texas has 2 fouls in the half. Now, Matas needs to be very smart here at the half. I don't care if Ike gets a somewhat easy bucket. Do not commit your second foul here. I might even consider taking him out. And that means he's got 4 fouls in the second half for sure. I might even consider taking him out here. But, look, nobody's in foul trouble. Gonzaga's got 4 fouls. Texas has 2. So I'm very pleased with where Texas is at because you've had some other guys step up. And that's what these games are all about. Okay, they took it back to a 2. I thought so. I thought Pope clearly had a foot 3 inches over the line at least. But that's what these games are all about. Who's going to step up? Who's going to be an unlikely hero? You need unlikely heroes in NCAA tournament games. It can't always be your best players. Guys are going to have an off night because they're drawing really good defensive coverage. Maybe they have a couple of rim outs. Maybe it just the ball doesn't fall for them. But I like that Texas is not in foul trouble in this game.
Hey, Jerry, just a couple numbers that we're not really used to seeing from this Texas team. 1 turnover to this point, knock on wood, with 40 seconds to go in the half. How about 12 assists on 15 made field goals?
And look, that's the thing about Gonzaga. They don't have to pressure you because they have length, right? Texas has 32 points right now. So their length is doing its job. They're not a high pressure octane defensive team. They're a lengthy defensive team. So they can, and as long as Texas doesn't get on a run, isn't making threes, it doesn't have a lead in this game, Gonzaga doesn't have to change their game plan at all. They're good with where they're at because they're not in foul trouble either. They're doing well on the glass. Texas isn't making threes. So did Texas just foul on a three?
Please tell me no.
No, they didn't because they had 2 made threes.
Somebody asked for a baseball update. Aiden Robbins just hit his 3rd home run of the series, led off the top of the 3rd.
Oh, turnover on Ike. All right, this will be last shot for Texas. They gave it away early. But look, man, we'll watch this final play, but StatCast tells you Texas is up 35-33 at half.
7-0 run to end the half. Longhorns hit 7 of their last 7 shots from the floor. 2-point lead over Gonzaga at the half. Exactly where you want to be.
Pope for 3. There you go. Horns up. The reason Texas is playing well is because they're out of foul trouble. They're not defending. I disagree. They're not pressure over the top defending. They're defending. It's not easy for Gonzaga. But here's what Texas is. They're doing the same thing they did against BYU, no different. They're just going to play smart defensive basketball without putting themselves in a bad position to where they get in foul trouble. But if you told me Gonzaga would have 33 points in the first half doing that, would you take it? Absolutely. They're not playing bad defense. It's not like they're not guarding people. They're just playing smart.
All right. So there it is. Heck of a run to end the first half. Texas with a 35-33 lead at halftime. Jerry, I'm checking the split box here. I mean, this is about as dead even as you can. One of the big things for Texas, and again, like we just haven't seen this a ton from Texas this year. 7 points off of 4 Gonzaga turnovers.
Yeah.
Just haven't seen that. You go back to the assists again, 12 assists on 16 made field goals, 6 fast break points, 24 points in the paint. This is a big one, Jerry. You talked about what you've gotten offensively from Weaver and Cody. A 12-4 edge in bench scoring, that never happens for this team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, if I told everybody that Weaver and Cody combined for 12 points in the first half, literally nobody would have bet on that. They'd be like, what? No chance. So they've had a couple of guys step up. We'll see how this second half goes. I mean, I think a big thing here in the second half of this game, I think guarding the 3-point line against Gonzaga is really big in this game, because the one thing you can't let them do is start feeling good about it, because they've been slumping from 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I know maybe because the other thing Gonzaga has, like I think people look at Gonzaga's record and say, wow, same old Gonzaga. They aren't even close.
Thank you for the super chat, Kelly. Much appreciated.
Gonzaga's teams from 2015, 2016 through 2021, 2022, those teams were loaded with future NBA players. I mean, loaded. They had 3 NBA draft picks on some of those teams. There's a reason they played for a national championship, went to multiple Final Fours, Elite Eights, all that. Those teams were loaded with high-level players. This Gonzaga team is not that. And without Braden Huff out there, they're just not the same talent-level teams that Gonzaga used to have. So this is Mark Few doing a great coaching job, as he always does, but he's having to do it in a different way. I mean, just go back and look at some of those teams with Jalen Suggs, with Corey Kispert, even Drew Timme, who's off and on in the NBA. I mean, they had 3 pros on that, 3 high-level pros on that team, 2 first-round draft picks, right? I mean,
Andrew Nembhard's a pro.
Nembhard. I mean, you just look at some of those teams. This isn't that Gonzaga. So I think when some people, if they don't really follow it, they say, oh, Gonzaga's 31-3. Oh, man. Well, this ain't the same Gonzaga. This is a beatable Gonzaga. Now, they're better than Texas, maybe more closer to even without Braden Huff. But this is not the same Gonzaga. that you used to see, where they could go score 90 on your butt in 38 minutes and shut it down in the last two and celebrate. Not that level team. So this is going to be a great second half. Hey, look, I'm here for it. We're already past my expectation this year. I'm going to go Gene Hackman and Hoosiers at halftime. You never talk about the next level or the next game. So leave that behind you. It'd be incredible. It'd be on your wildest dreams to get to the Sweet 16 in year one with Sean Miller. I'll leave it at that. That's not word for word, but those that watch Hoosiers pretty much know that was what Gene Hackman said, Norman Dell said before the regional final game, their state semi game.
Jerry, we've had a couple comments, to the effect of, hey, Sean Miller, as NIL and RevShare said it. Thank you, NIL and RevShare, for the comment. Said Sean Miller is winning me over, man. Jerry, Sean Miller has always been a hell of a basketball coach. It's not like he just suddenly forgot how to coach. And we talked about, his tenure at Xavier probably could have been a lot more prosperous. But, we talked about it yesterday. We talked about it the last couple of days.
Yeah.
The injuries they had
Huge.
the last couple of years decimated them.
Yeah, look, I mean, if you're at Xavier, you're not going to have a depth. I mean, these teams that watch that conference in future years from an NIL rev share standpoint, because they don't play football, UConn doesn't even care about it. So just remember that with those teams in rev share and NIL, what they can produce in future years. But at the time when Miller was there, you aren't going to build a uber talented depth team like you can at UConn and Xavier. Just you aren't going to do it. When he lost Fremantle for the year before the season in one of those seasons, and I think they were easily a Sweet 16 team.
Yeah,
with him, that was a huge loss. I mean, he was an all Big 12 or all Big East Conference player multiple times. You can't lose somebody like that at Xavier for the season and be even close to what you thought you were going to be. Yeah. So Sean Miller, I thought what he did at Xavier was really impressive, because those Fremantle injuries they decapitated their season in a couple of ways. The year they didn't make the NCAA tournament there. Really good basketball coach. I think the thing with Miller, what he's done is he's evolved offensively with the 100%. Game. It used to be very Rick Barnes at Texas style, and he was at Arizona. He just had better players year in, year out. Some great pros on those teams. But he's evolved as a coach. And I think, and it's not going to look like, and he actually said this, and I said this earlier in the season, I wonder why, but they want to look like Fuse Gonzaga teams, some of those really good teams offensively in time. You're going to see some glimpses this year of it. But I think in time, if they can get the right pieces, that's kind of how they want to play, is the Gonzaga from 2014 to 2023. And they want to play that type of fast execution offense. They really want to put pressure on defense to get set up and not let those defenses get set up in the half court, really play that fast execution offense. And we'll see if he can get the players that he needs to pull that off. But that's what they want to be. And he's evolved offensively, because you would have never said that about him when he was at Arizona, that he would want to do anything like what Gonzaga was doing.
Now, as a matter of fact, Jerry, about a year ago when he was hired, I started looking at some of their, because you talked about that when he got the job, that they did want to play faster. And you started looking at some of his tempo numbers, especially some of his early Arizona teams. I mean, they're in the 80s and 90s nationally in tempo, and it gradually picked up as he was there. And you didn't really get to see it at Xavier again because of the injuries, but now you're seeing the efficiency. You're seeing Texas want to play faster. You're seeing the seeds of it, right? Yeah. I mean, Sean Miller's a hell of a basketball coach. He always has been. Really, really fortunate. And you know what? Hey, I'll give a tip of the cap to CDC, because he had Sean Miller really high on his radar. Really had Rodney Terry, Jerry, not made it to the Elite Eight and gotten the job, Sean Miller may have been the head coach of Texas at that point.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about it. 100% was going to happen. Let's ask this question, because portal starts April 7th through 21st. GH, what do you think the portal number will be this offseason? 6? And then that comes down to what Swain does.
Yeah,
I think Swain's got such an interesting decision, because this round, this 26 draft is amazing. Like, it's going to be one of those drafts with number of NBA All-Stars, All-Pros.
It's on par with last year's draft, Jerry, which was a really freaking good draft.
What?
It's on par with last year's draft. This last year's draft, which is a really good
last year's draft didn't have the depth of this one. So because there were more international players, I think in that one. This one's got a lot of depth in college players, not as many internationals. If this was his season on last year's draft, he'd be long gone, man. Just think about it this way. Powell from North Carolina went in the first round off pure upside. When people say, well, they're kind of looking at Swain, well, he's not scoring that much, blah, blah, blah. Powell from North Carolina went, I think, 28th in the draft last year, averaged 6.5 points a game. And he's not even close to the player Dalen Swain is. Liam McNeely went 27th. Dalen Swain's a better basketball player than Liam McNeely. So if it was last year's draft, he would have been a lock to go because I think he could have gone 23 to 28. Now, this year, it's such a deep draft. I think you have 8 or 10 guys that have really interesting decisions to make because if you go, maybe you get that 25 to 28, 29, 30 range. Those last 5 picks of the NBA draft. But there's 10 guys, I think, for like 4 spots. Last year, there weren't that many guys for that many spots.
Yeah.
So Swain's got he's got an interesting decision to make. Do I think he can be a first-round pick? Absolutely. There's a reason he's being mocked as a late first-rounder. Those guys are being told that by NBA scouts. And Texas knows that's a real possibility for him. So his decision, I think, is interesting because I don't think a lot of people say, oh, just come back next year and you'll be a lottery pick. I'm not sure that. But can you get to 16, 17? Is it worth it to you to get inside the top 20 in next year's draft, which isn't going to be nearly as strong as this one? Is it worth it to you? I don't know. That's a decision he has to make. But I think he's got a very interesting decision to make, though, because he's a guy that the NBA scouts really like. But I don't think coming back a year, he's going to turn into some top 10 pick or something. So is the differential going to be enough for him? That's something him and his agents are going to have to answer.
Yeah. Look, people can say what they want about his game or whatever. Is he ready for the NBA? People can debate that all day. If you get a guarantee from a team, you have to go because unless you're just a garbage player that was an eval miss or injury or something, you're going to get the option. You're going to get every chance you can possibly have to stick in the league. The thing I've said for Dalen that really helps him is he's young for his class. He doesn't turn 21 until July 15th. So he could be in the NBA, be drafted as a 22-year-old rookie with 4 years of college experience. The other problem you run into that, Jerry, and I don't know if this is the case. I know it used to be. I don't know if it's necessarily this way anymore. A 4-year guy at that point, some teams are like, okay, well, what's wrong with you? If you didn't come out until now, why are you waiting until this year? But I think Swain's a little bit different because he is young for his class.
Yeah, for sure. And look, I think the thing with Swain is he has so much upside left in him, to your point. I mean, I went through the 3-point shooting in his career. Here, I'm going to look it up so we have the exact numbers on this. But what Swain has done in his career and his growth as a perimeter player, which he was not coming out of high school, and he was about 190 pounds at 6'6.5".
I've got it here, Jerry, if you need it.
He's 426 from 3, 15.4%. By the way, I think that's around the same number TJ Ford shot his freshman year, not comparing the players. 7 of 28 last year. I think he had 3 of those against Illinois in the round of 64 NCAA tournament game, 25%. He was now 34.4% coming into this game for the season, but that's not the number that's important. The number that's important is the last 22 games of the year. So your SEC games plus your SEC tournament plus your NCAA tournament games, he was at 38. That tells NBA guys he's going to make shots because he's doing it as he continues to grow as a player. He's also been an 82% free throw shooter his entire career. That's another sign for these guys and for anybody that follows the game. But to go from where he has as a perimeter player, and a lot of those threes in the SEC were late shot clocks over 6'5", 6'6" guys, contested threes. I mean, he's made some big threes. If you go back and look at the season he's had, so he's had the ball in his hand more than any other Texas player. He leads Texas in every category: points, rebounds, assists, steals. I mean, you name it. And then he's also been the best scorer in the SEC. That has a lot of value. So, but I think he's got a very interesting decision to make, guys, because I'm with you, Jeff. Even if the Dallas Mavs say we'll take you at 30, it's a guarantee. If you're here, we're taking you.
Yeah.
What are you really going to do? Because and a lot of times people would say, well, oh, that guy will have to go play in the G League. Well, there's more guys playing in the G League right now. They're drafted higher. So in the first round, there's nothing wrong with that as you build your game. But do you have the upside? They're going to draft him off of, wow, you're a really good basketball player now. You affect the game in a number of ways, but we know you're going to keep getting better offensively the more you play on the perimeter with the ball in your hand. So he's got that upside. He's got an interesting decision to make. I really believe that. By the way, A&M's down, 73-49. So even if this game doesn't fall your way, at least you got that.
Jared, to your point about the depth with this draft, I want to turn this live stream into an NBA mock draft discussion. But
we got nothing but time right now.
You talk about the depth. I'm looking at NBADraft.net. When you go, 20, when Christian Anderson's getting mocked at 24, Kobe's getting mocked at 25. Like that's, if you're a first round pick in this draft, you're a dude.
I'm telling you, this is considered one of the deepest first round drafts in a while, because I think up top you have potential like Hall of Fame guys, right? If they stay healthy. I mean, Debance is an NBA Hall of Fame player if he stays healthy. Let's not kid ourselves. Then you have some guys who are really, really going to be good pros. And then I think there's the depth of this draft is what's going to be so impressive. And by the way, if you look at that mock draft, Jeff, Texas has played almost all of them this year.
Yeah.
They've played Debance, they've played Acuff, they've played Boozer, they've played Malik Thomas from Arkansas.
Braylon Mullins from UConn.
Mullins from UConn. Texas has played the best of the best.
LeBaron Philon, yeah.
Philon. I mean, I think at the last time I looked, they played 11 of the 30 first-round picks after BYU game.
Crazy.
They play over a third of the first round of the draft. So what also that means is Dalen Swain's had a lot of NBA scouts at his games all year. So if like you said, if he gets a guarantee, it's hard to say no to that. But I say he's got an interesting decision to make. And I would say this about Texas: if they get him and Matas back with Gooseby, watch the hell out next year, because they'll get other pieces. They'd be pretty hellacious team if they got lucky on that.
Yeah, I don't want to psych myself up for that just yet, Jerry. Not right. By the way, Jerry, your recall on the college career of one Terrence Gerard Ford. You said that's about what TJ shot. Dalen Swain shot
23.
Dalen Swain was 15.4 3-point percentage as a freshman. TJ 15.2.
Okay, there you go.
So you're right. It was right there.
Yeah, I mean, and think when TJ he left after 2 years, obviously, and he improved a little year too, but he got to be where he was a decent shooter at the NBA level, and that's kind of the thing with guys like that is all they do is develop in the NBA. If that's all they do is just develop every single day. The crazy thing is, if you've never been to an NBA game, and I go to about 10 Rockets games a year, and my son and I go, if you've never gotten to an NBA game an hour before to watch a guy's warm-ups, like Fred VanVleet, when he was healthy, his warm-up was the exact same thing before every game. What does that allow you to do? Shoot the ball better. You're repping the same thing every single day. It's the same routine. It's the same number of shots, same number of shots from each position on the floor. Like that's why one of the reasons they're all better shooters, but that's one of the reasons they develop shooting the ball in the NBA. It's a literally everyday thing, no class, nothing else. It's all hoops, and it's all year long for those guys with some breaks after the season. But a lot of those guys, they live in the gym. They live with the player development guys in the offseason. And those guys, that's why you see guys become much better shooters over time that maybe entered. Look at PJ Tucker. What, he made 2 threes in college, Jeff? I think he was 2 for like 15 his whole career.
Yeah, didn't take them. And
he made like 2 threes in college.
And
then he had seasons in the NBA where he's making over 100 a year.
They get him. The Suns get him, and he's kind of their small ball 5. And then Daryl Morey gets him in Houston, and he becomes kind of the ideal 5-man for this era of basketball. PJ's got just one of the weirdest, coolest career arcs, literally, of anybody that's played in the NBA in the last 30 years.
Yep. Hey, let's ask Tien Longhorn, how tall is Swain? if he goes to the NBA Combine, I'll be interested to see if he's 6'7.5" without shoes or actually 6'8". But I think he's in that area code for sure. Ryan Nelson asked, can Matas be like Edey? If he was 7'2", he would be Zach Edey, but 7'3". Because Edey's not athletic. Edey has to win on power. Edey shoots it better. I think Matas is going to be a second-round pick, probably be a G League type guy, bounce back and forth, or probably play more G League early. He's got to develop a little bit of a catch and shoot to be effective in the NBA. Maybe he can become Steven Adams. I think Steven Adams is laterally quicker athlete, but Matas is not without athleticism.
No, you can.
But I think Steven Adams, you have to be almost a Steven Adams with where your game is at now, and there just aren't many of those guys in the league.
Sorry, Jerry, I didn't mean to almost cut you off.
Good.
No, you can even see it like tonight. Like Matas's feet are really, really good.
Really good. Really good. And think about next year, because the thing that Matas is going to benefit from a third year, he's going to take, once he makes that initial move and he forces to the rim, I think in this offseason, again, this will be, let's assume he comes back to Texas and no blue blood offers him something stupid and he has to make a business decision. He gets the full offseason of development with the Texas staff. So they can work on, okay, here's how you gather after that first move to where you're not forcing this. Then you can make the additional pump fake move. When he learns to get the guys off their feet more than just playing through their body, his offensive game is going to go to another level in college. Because sometimes because he doesn't gather, maybe his base isn't wide enough. He can lose balance in there. But once he gathers, I'm talking about from a foot perspective after a good move, and then adds another up and under move, a ball fake move, he goes to another. He could be a 20-point per game scorer in college basketball. We're talking about 2 buckets a game, maybe one more made free throw a game, to where you're shooting 72% next year. You're at 20 points a game. It's not that big a deal to go from 16 to 15-7 to 20.2.
What you're talking about, though, Jerry, is you see that against some of the more athletic bigs he goes against in the SEC, where the inability to gather, he's taking that one extra dribble that, if it just clean up the footwork a little bit, he won't have to take it, to your point.
Yep.
All right.
Kelly Hill, great question. Who's doing the artwork for the YouTube snapshots? That is Matthew Hutchinson, our great producer.
Producer Matt's the MVP of On Texas Football. I don't say that it's not tongue in cheek or me being cute. That is the honest truth about how important Matt is. By the way, I didn't update this, but we're top of the 4th in Auburn right now, 6-0 Texas. How about a Gumbo Duplantier 3-run home run? Didn't have that on my bingo card for this series. So 6-0 lead for Texas in Auburn.
All right, well, here we go. 20 minutes. 20 minutes for the dream first season. And people say, oh, Jerry, you're jinxing them. It doesn't work that way. You either make shots or you don't. But I think you're 20 minutes from a dream season 1 with a new head coach. I'll say this. For people that don't kind of follow the history of this stuff in college basketball, the last first-year coach to get to an Elite Eight was Jerome Tang. He's fired 3 years later, okay? The only first-year coaches since 1990 to go to the Final Four in their first year, it's pretty easy. It's Hubert Davis at North Carolina, who's about to be fired, who was handed a team bunch of NBA draft picks by Roy. The other one was Bill Guthridge at Carolina when Dean Smith stepped down, and he had Vince Carter and Antoine Jamison. You think he got to a Final Four? Blue blood, North Carolina, the last 2 first-year head coaches at their school, good bucket by Matas, to go to the Final Four in year 1. What does that tell you? If it happens again, it's a freak year, pretty much. Because nobody's inheriting those teams anymore.
I was gonna say, Jerry, if I gave you, even at that point in your life, if I say, hey, Jerry, I'll give you Antoine Jamison, Vince Carter, Ed Cota, Shamad Williams. Can you go win 30 games coaching that team? Yeah.
I picked up his second personal foul on that. Matas with another bucket. So 37-35 as Gonzaga comes back with one.
9 points, 4 boards for Matas as of right now.
And now you go right at Ike. Really good. Like it? We're way behind the score, by the way. Oh, we're good. We can still bring it up. We're good.
Yeah. We're good, Matt.
Ball screen, Pope and the Matas getting in that action. Tough shot by Jordan Pope. 39-35. Patience by Pope. Pope's gotten a little more patience in the paint as the season moves along. He's not going to get credit for probably improving as much as Sean Miller's helped him improve, but he's more patient. He was always patient on the perimeter. He's gotten a little more patient in the painted area as a senior. That's going to be foul on Tremont Mark. They got a favorable matchup switch there for Gonzaga. Anytime Ike's got the ball in the post against Mark, you just foul. Guys, you're going to be forced to foul.
They're charging that one to Cam Heidi. So that's actually, 2 on Heidi now.
Tennessee Longhorn, if Sean Miller makes a Sweet 16 for first year, does it create unrealistic expectations? Absolutely, but that's the world we live in.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then it's going to be, oh, well, he's definitely going to get to a Final Four. Texas has been the one since 1947. I just keep saying that. Like, Texas has been the one Final Four since 1947. They've been about 4 Elite Eights since then, I believe.
Let's see.
39,
Yeah,
37.
3 Elite Eights since then. Sean Miller did knock a Texas team out of the NCAA tournament that 2010-11.
Oh, Jeff, you had to do it, didn't you?
Sean finds a way to mix that in. Every once in a blue moon, he'll find a way to mention it.
Was that a legit 5 count or not? Or was it for them?
Sean thinks it was.
Sean says it was a long 5. Rick says it was 4.25. 3 fouls on Heidi there. Worley's a good player for them, man. He transferred from FSU, 6'6.5", 6'7" guard. He's a good basketball player. Boy, Leonard Robinson. Sorry, Matthew, had some really talented players and teams at FSU. That's a weird free throw. Wow. He spun the ball above his head. I'm not sure. Hey, Chad, have you ever seen anybody? I mean, we've seen some weird free throw motions over the years, but that one was kind of crazy. He spins the ball above his head. Watch this free throw motion. That's way crazy.
Sam, man, we got to find another line of demarcation to note titles or something that happened since when. We gotta shelve that at some point, Sam, man.
You're seeing Gonzaga turn up the perimeter pressure a little bit early in the second half. They are really – the one player you can tell Gonzaga does not want to have freedom in this game is Dalen Swain. You can easily see that. Man, Tremont just can't buy one. But they're all contested toughies. But you can tell Dalen Swain is the most game plan player for Texas in this game. And that's been the case a lot of times because if he gets herky-jerky on you and he can get to the middle of the floor, you have issues. So I think what Gonzaga is trying to do is push him towards the baseline as much as possible. So they have long arms, and it's harder to see the floor, even for a 6'8" player. It's harder to make the pass. But you keep him out of the middle off that herky-jerky action, and that forces Texas to have other guys kind of step up to finish plays. Because that doesn't allow Swain to get to the free throw line, get to that little 8 to 10 foot shot right in the middle of the paint where he's really good at. So Gonzaga's doing a good job on Swain in this game. See, they can switch these ball screens with length. Duke could switch ball screens with length. And Duke's a better team, don't get me wrong. But Cody brought it down. Brought it down to easy pickings. He's not strong. He's not a strong enough player to bring it down and get away with it against good hands. You got to be a strong guy to bring it down. And he almost put Swain in a position to have to foul. That's the other thing. But Cody's not a strong enough player to bring the ball down in that situation. He's got to keep the ball higher. He's not strong enough physically. Great hustle play by Weaver. Bang, bang play.
8 points for Kendall Weaver on 4 of 5 shooting. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, and look, he has great opportunities. And this sounds like a slight, but it's just him as an offensive player. He's got great opportunities because people aren't going to guard him. And anytime somebody doesn't guard you and you play with aggression, motor, then you have a chance to do so. Look, they have a foot in the paint against him. That's a tough shot he made, but they're not guarding him. When somebody has a foot in the paint and gets the guard, they literally aren't guarding you in basketball. So, but he's making the most of his opportunities, just like he did in NC State game, and they need that. If they're going to put that much pressure on Swain, Swain's not a guy that's going to force bad shots. He's just going to play. He's just going to play basketball. There's a reason he has all the assists. Great move there by Swain, guys. There's the reason you look up and Swain is averaging. He has 28 assists in the last 5 basketball games. He's averaging, 5.6 assists a game. There's a reason that he's averaging 5.6 assists a game in the last 5 because he's not forcing bad shots. He's going to play within the flow of an offense. That's why he has a chance to be a really good role player in the NBA for a while, because he's never going to be a primary scorer in the league. Right. He's never going to be a secondary scorer in the league. So how does he have a long career in the league? It's just the way he plays now. If he tries to change his style of play, he's not going to be as effective of a player.
All right, we've hit the first media time out of the second half. It's a 43-40 lead for Texas over Gonzaga. Jerry, I'm Kendall Weaver's my MVP of this so far. 8 points on 4 or 5 shooting, 3 boards, an assist, a block, and a steal in 14 minutes. That's production right there.
Yeah, look, and again, it's fine if they don't guard him. He doesn't have to be guarded because he's going to go make hustle plays and energy plays and just flat out effort plays in this game for Texas. And at some point, I wonder if Gonzaga has to at least move that foot out of the paint against him, because what he did on that last bucket was he drove straight into the chest of a defender and made the shot up the glass.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing to not guard a guy and play with a foot in the paint against a 6'2.5" guard. It's another thing that when he still drives at you and scores. So is Gonzaga going to have to change a little bit of what they want to do? I know they don't want to, because the thing when Weaver's on the court, because you don't have to guard him, is that makes it much tougher on Matas and Swain, especially Swain, because we were talking about earlier. That driving angle isn't there if Weaver's defender is playing a foot in the paint defensively. So, and Swain's not going to kick the Weaver for a 3 if you get in that scenario very often, unless that's a last resort play. But Gonzaga, are they willing to take the foot out of the paint guarding Weaver? If I'm Gonzaga, I'm not, because I'd rather Weaver. I'll take my chances with Weaver over Swain getting better driving areas or Matas getting more favorable positioning to go play against to play one-on-one versus having that help defender where he can see it out of the corner of his eye in the paint. So it's an interesting decision by Gonzaga if Weaver makes a couple more plays in this game. But 43-40, under 16 timeout. And Gonzaga 2 for 9 from 3. I think that's still a huge key in this game. Texas, I think, has to guard the three-point line like they're a 40% three-point shooting team, even though they're 34. I think guarding the three-point line, make Gonzaga make tough twos, make them take some off-balance twos, just play solid defense on them, but do not let Gonzaga, because they're struggling from 3, get a little feel-good from 3 about them. That's the one thing I don't want to happen in this game for Texas defensively, because then that changes how you have to play Gonzaga's team. So Gonzaga team rebounding, good. Matas winning his share on the board in this game.
Jerry, that's the first 3 the Zags have hit in a minute.
That's what I don't want to see, guys. I just I don't want Gonzaga. If you look up at the end of this game and Gonzaga ends up with 6 or 7 made threes, that's probably not good for Texas, if we're being real. If they have the advantage from the 3-point line in this game, it's not really Texas where you'd want to be going into this game. Anything can happen in a game, but that's just not where you want to be. I was more patient by Cody up top. A lot of times he rushes that pass and it gets really out of control. That was better patience.
He's been pretty good with that tonight so far.
And they haven't really pressured. Oh, man. And they haven't really pressured him on it. You just got to play slower, not rush those passes from those high post passes. You can't rush those passes. That was best. That's the best patience he's had in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Dang, that was Pope. That was almost down. That's unfortunate. Damn, that was almost down. Great move by Swain. Didn't finish. Great move. Foster's a good defensive player. He lost him. Woo. Great move.
Yeah, not an ideal foul by Tremont Mark right there. All right, so we're at the 13-24 mark. Jerry, tell me what you think about this lineup on the floor right now. You got Mark, Wilcher, Weaver, Swain, and Cody.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Gonzaga, I might pressure a little bit here, first of all. I might pressure Texas a little bit here. Anytime Wilcher's on the floor, I'm going to try to pressure Texas a little bit and see what happens.
Yeah.
I think this is an opportunity for Gonzaga from a scoring in the paint rebounding situation. And then on the flip side, if I'm Zags, I pressure Wilcher. That was a tough two. That's a good shot. Weaver is a good position. Had about a 5-inch height advantage on Weaver, but still a really good shot.
Fogel's a really good player.
Yeah, he's going to be really good. You want to see one go down for Mark here in the next couple of minutes of this game.
Big time.
I mean, he's had 6 tremendous NCAA tournament games in a row. You just want to see another assist by Swain. You want to see one go down for Mark. You don't want to get down like 4-6 minutes. He's 1 of 10. I know he's made big shots, but great defense. But still, you want to see the ball go in one time here.
And we're about to see it here in just a second. It's a really nice defensive play by Nick Cody.
Yeah, he's played. Look, this is Nick Cody's best game as a Longhorn.
Without question.
Not even. I mean, he played well against Missouri, but this is higher stake game now. I mean, I know at Missouri at the time was a higher stakes game, but your season wasn't over at that point in time. This is it. Like, it's off season if you lose. That's a good one for. I think they got to get Mark inside the mid range because he can score in the painted area because he's crafty and he's played like 2,000 games in his career. I think they got to not let him be so perimeter oriented. I think they got to find a different way to get him the basketball because he is really good at up and unders. He is really calm. He has multiple moves. He's played the game for so long in the college. He was on U of H's Final Four team, guys. He lost to Baylor. I mean, think about that. I think they got to play him a little different in the second half of this game. Let him see the ball go in. Let him see if he can get to the free throw line. Put Gonzaga in a more pressure defensive situation when guarding him, because, again, they have to link to play him on the perimeter.
All right, we've hit the under 12 media timeout. 11:43 to go in the second half. Texas with a 49-47 lead. Longhorns right now 51% shooting from the floor. Only 2 for 10 from 3, but again, 23 made field.
This is my potty break. I'll be back in a
All right, you do that, Jerry. I'll just keep everybody updated. We'll run down the box score here real quick. Again, we don't see this from Texas a ton. 15 assists on 23 made field goals. Texas also, knock on wood, I want to jinx it, only 2 turnovers thus far, 7 turnovers for Gonzaga. And points off turnovers, again, it's usually not slanted toward Texas in this fashion, but Texas turned those 7 Gonzaga turnovers into 11 points. 2 Texas turnovers, 2 points off of those for Gonzaga. Ryan Nelson asked, Jeff, Ike playing these heavy minutes down the stretch will be interesting to watch, already up to 26 minutes. Yeah, the one thing that he's done a really good job of is staying out of foul trouble, only 2 fouls right now. Ideally, you'd like to see him pick up a third here pretty quick and maybe get him off the floor for a minute. Gonzaga just doesn't have – they're kind of in the same boat Texas is with Modest. If he's in foul trouble, just don't have a lot of alternatives.
DMS asked, does Cody really have more points than Swain? Yeah, he does. Swain's playing a really smart basketball game, though. I would just keep saying that. He's got 7 points. He's only shot it 4 times in this game because Gonzaga's not – they're going to put pressure on him. But he's got 4 assists. He's got 3 rebounds. He's doing what he needs to do for the basketball team. If he was forcing bad shots right now, Texas is probably down 7. He's playing smart basketball is what he's doing. If you look up at the end of this game and he's got 12 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists, he's played a hell of a basketball game.
Yeah.
He's making the smart basketball plays is what he's doing. So we're at 11:43. I think the next 4 minutes of this game this sounds obvious, but I think for a different reason. I think the next 4 minutes of this game are huge for Texas. And they're really maybe just as important for Gonzaga. Because if I'm Sean Miller and I'm Texas, and you told me before the game, you can get to the 4-minute timeout and it's anybody's game, he would take that yesterday. He would take it yesterday. I think these next 4 minutes, what we were talking about earlier, the favorite teams, and Gonzaga's not Michigan. They're not Duke, okay? They're not U of H. But not without Braden Huff. They're not close to that level. And they weren't even that level with him. But this is normally when the higher seeded team, who's the better team, starts to kind of go on a run and they start to say, okay, now this is why Gonzaga was favored in this game. But if you can get to that 6, great defense by Matas, they call a foul. If you get to that inside 7 and you start just anybody's ball game late, that's where you want to be in these games. Man, Matas, that's a tough one. But that's only Matas' second foul. But now if he gets one in the next 4 minutes, it becomes an issue. By the way, we talk about guys, Graham Ike, I'm going to give him a lot of credit. He had a pretty bad ACL early in his career at Wyoming, wasn't a highly recruited player. I really appreciate what Mark Few said about him, about the type of worker he was, the preparation that he takes before every game. He's changed everything that he does as a basketball player after that ACL injury, just from a preparation standpoint, nutrition, all of it. He's a guy that's maximized. He's maximized his talent. And I love that when I see that from guys, but I think we give him a little credit for that. Great job, Mark. This is what Mark's got to do. This is how he has to adjust in this game. He cannot live at 18 feet. Go attack these guys. Go attack. Make them guard you around the paint. Draw rotation defense. Get to the free throw line. I like the adjustment.
And then make his free throws. Only 5 free throw attempts for Texas so far. Jerry, again, not what we're used to seeing from this team. You're 51 points and you only shot 5 free throws.
Yep. And you only have 2 made threes. Got to guard that 3-point line. Guard that 3-point line in the last 10 minutes of the game. Texas is doing a good job defensively because Gonzaga's they're running a lot of action for threes in this game. I mean, I think Texas is playing pretty smart, good game plan defense here. Because this is not that was a bad pass by Weaver. This is not the Gonzaga team that you want shooting. If you're Mark Few, you want shooting 22, 23, 24 threes a game. Matas is lucky he didn't get his third. Good play, but that you never know with those calls when you're Matas.
Yeah. He's gotten dinged for less this year.
Yeah.
There was that whole deal in College Station with the foul and the opening tip, which I've still never seen before. But all right. 9:58 mark of the second half. Modest just picked up his third. Gonzaga's in the bonus.
Yeah.
Not ideal.
Yeah, not ideal. Now Texas is going to have to make perimeter shots.
Okay. So apparently we got a double foul here on Modest and Ike. So they both have 3.
I could see those guys just finishing the fight after the game outside the arena. I could actually see that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Man. That's a tough call. Tough call. I think Matas is getting Ike a little frustrated.
Looks like it.
Because that's just normal Matas.
Yeah.
Great hustle, Matas. Why do you keep playing? That dude's going to be a problem in college basketball next year, guys.
Jerry, Modest is the kind of player, if he's on your team, you love him. I bet if you ask other SEC fan bases, they probably can't stand him too much.
No. Oh, wow. One honest critic. This is huge news. If Gonzaga loses, no one will win the $1 billion from Kalshi. Wow, that's huge. I know one person that's cheering against Texas harder than any Aggie or Sooner ever has right now. That's that's pretty wild.
All right. We have hit the
under 12 at 9 minutes.
Are we at the under 12 now at this point? I guess we are at the under 12.
That was a great bucket by Ike. Power play through chests.
Man.
Controlled dribble. Oh, Sean called timeout. Okay.
51 all.
Yep.
9:05 to go in regulation.
Buddy, look, this is maybe the best comment ever on this chat. Texas fans in the chat, ain't lost by 31. Well, kind of like a college football playoff game. Full disclosure, I'd hate Texas for a smooth billion. Who agrees with Buddy Powell, Chief Big Guy? If you were going to win the million, I mean, I'll be honest, I would. Is there any question about that?
Jerry, I feel more comfortable discussing this topic on air as opposed to your last question. What was it for 2.7? The thing that we're not going to discuss?
Yeah.
2.7?
I would do that for sure. You could
for $1 million?
Billion, Jeff, billion.
$1 billion? Yeah.
Yeah. You get 4 collies. You'd have 4 collies in the backyard for $1 billion.
I like being married and seeing my kid every day. So
look, and then Buddy Powell, Chief Big Guy, here's what you do. You throw about $10 million to the basketball program for NIL. I love that. See, that's the brain right there. That's the brain. Sandal says he'd do it for $1,000. So 51 all, 9 minutes to go in the ball game. How about this after the start? Texas is shooting the basketball better from the field than Gonzaga. It's close, 48.5 to 46.7. That changes in 2 trips with 2 makes and 2 misses. But Gonzaga's winning on the boards, 28-21. Texas, 15 assists. Gonzaga, 18 assists. I think this, again, like I said, we get down to 7 minutes, and this is anybody's game. This is when some of the higher seeded teams, the better teams, the favorite teams kind of make a little run and start the little separation. Then a lot of times, the team that's not favored to win has to close it back down to get the 3 minutes to get it to anybody's ball game. We've seen this so many times in the NCAA tournament. This is sometimes where the higher seeded team, the team that's considered better, kind of has a little spurt run, and you look up at 6 minutes left and it's 59-53, right? Then it's a totally different game, totally different pressure. But if Texas can get that 6.5, 7 minute mark, and we're talking about a possession game, then these games get really great in the NCAA tournament down the stretch. This is already a great game, but that's like, again, St. Louis and Michigan today were 59-53. The big guy made a couple of threes for St. Louis. 6-point game. I think it was like 12 minutes to go. They ended up losing by 22. So this is that time, around this time of games, where if you're going to be there in the last possession game, if you're the underdog, you keep this thing right there. 1 possession, 2, 3-point game, 4-point game, and you're right there. And then the higher seeded team, even though it's a Gonzaga home game, they start to feel a little more pressure.
Yeah.
And it's Texas' job to get into that situation. And then you've won games with big shots late. If you're Texas, you have confidence in those situations at the end of the game. But it's up to Texas to keep it right here and put that pressure on Gonzaga at that under 4-minute mark.
Real quick update on baseball, going to the bottom of the 5th in Auburn. That series between Texas and Auburn, 6-2 lead for Texas right now.
Dang it. Great move by Swain. But then the thing I'm not liking about this game is Gonzaga comes back and hits another 3. So they're at 4 made threes and Texas is at 2. And it's most of them have been on offensive rebound kickouts. That they're getting those second opportunity threes.
Yeah.
In this game a little bit that are
wow,
they're not backbreakers at this point. If it was a 7-point game and that made it 10, those become backbreakers.
They are anyway, Jerry, just because you feel like you defended really well, and then it was almost like a fluke deal where they get a kick out and a really good look at a 3.
I mean, Nick Cody with double figures, man. Wow.
This is as balanced offensively as Texas has been all year, and I don't think this was by design. There's no way it was by design.
No. And look where we're at 7:30. I mean, this is right where you want to be in this ball game. Great defensive play by Mark. Run out to Swain, 57-54. Who just picked up the foul on Texas with 7:05 to go because stats are way ahead.
Swain.
So that's Swain's first.
Actually, Jerry, they just changed it they gave it to Tremont Mark.
So that is his second. Oh, I can see that. That was a good call. It's a good call. They ran a double at Ike to help Matas from being in a position to pick up his 4th foul. Gonzaga smartly is going to go after Matas here. Because if Matas picks up a 4th in the next minute, he's probably out till 2.5 minutes to go in this game. Because this is a game that if it stays like this, could easily be an overtime game. So Sean Miller, or if Ike goes out, the head coach has to be very protective of those big men because the last thing you want to do is one of those guys foul out. If this game continues, it could be an overtime game. If one of these guys fouls out and this goes to overtime and they're not there, game over. So Texas ran a little bit of help for Matas on Ike in that scenario.
So real quick on the scoring distribution for Texas. 4 Longhorns in double figures right now. Pope, Swain, Modest, all with 11. Nick Cody with 10 off the bench. Kendall Weaver with 8. And then
we got to look. Is that a career high for Nick Cody?
It's got to be, Jerry. It's got to be.
Let me see. He may have had 10 in a meaningless game before. Let's see. Game log. Oh, he had 11 against Ark, but that was a late and a blowout. So,
yeah, that doesn't really count.
Yeah, he had 11 against Arkansas when they were getting drubbed. And then last year, his high, he had 20 against Pine Bluff. So this is his best game as a Longhorn.
That I was going to say that doesn't count.
Yeah. We're not counting Pine Bluff.
Sorry, anybody in the chat.
Evan Durant would have scored 25 with one hand tied behind his back.
Anybody in the chat that's a SWAC alum, my apologies. No shade meant, but yeah, that doesn't count.
Anybody been over the Texas basketball page in the last 10 minutes? Anybody?
Here's a hypothetical.
57.
Here's a hypothetical for Longhorn fans, Jerry. I forget who it was. I think it was Buddy Pal Chief Big Guy talking about winning $1 billion. Would you root against Texas? Let's say you got that $1 billion. Would you take just an absurd amount of money that the owners of either Sooner Scoop or Texags couldn't turn down and buy it just to say you own it? So that way, every time Aggies or Sooners went to their little sanctuary,
good question,
they had to do it knowing they're putting money in your pocket.
Good question. I would buy as many sheep as possible and not give the A&M fans as many options. Is that all right?
Yeah.
I have like 200 acres full of sheep just so the Aggies don't have as many options. Dating pools way down.
Yeah. I mean, if you want, you can shear sheep if you want to. Maybe, I don't know, a little side hustle.
Yeah, I would buy. Yeah, that's a good one, Ryan Nelson. I'd buy an Oregon site and troll Josie. Yeah, that's a good one. And after I trolled him for a couple of years, I'd just give it to him.
Yeah,
he's not here to protect himself.
All right, so Grant Foster makes a couple of free throws. 57-56, 7:04 to go. Man, this is Jerry. It's weird. I don't have anything to complain about at this point.
No. Look, you won 2 NCAA tournament. You won 2 NCAA tournament games. You're here with a chance to win and get to the Sweet 16. What more can you ask for in year one? I mean, what more can you really ask for? I went over the history of this stuff a few minutes ago. We've had so many people join here. For people that don't know the history of the NCAA tournament, the last first-year coach to get to an Elite Eight was Jerome Tang at Kansas State. He's now fired. 2 other first-year coaches at their schools went to a Final Four since 1990. It was Hubert Davis, who was handed a bunch of NBA players by Roy Williams. He's fired, or about to be. Then you had Bill Guthridge, when Dean Smith retired, who was handed a national championship team with multiple NBA All-Stars. That's the only 3. That's what we're talking about here. So you have a chance to get to the Sweet 16. I mean, in year one. That's
wow,
just
huge,
that's how it is.
Huge. Ike just picked up his 4th foul.
Yeah, there you go.
Massive.
And Nick Cody made the free throw. Great job. Look, I love the change Tremont Mark. Cody made both that I've seen from Mark. We talked about it in the first half. They have more length. They can affect your jump shot more. What did Mark need to do? Attack. Or what did Sean Miller do? Get him in a position to attack. Mark is putting more pressure on the Gonzaga defense now. And what is that doing? That's leaving you opportunities to offensive rebound. That's leaving Mark opportunities to get to the free throw line, get a call. As they were adjusting the Gonzaga, they weren't putting themselves in a position to get a call. But now I love the switch that Tremont Marks made. He's, like I said, he's played 1,000 college games, and that Sean Miller has coached in 4 Elite Eights and 8 Sweet 16s. And they're leaving Ike in, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, Jerry, if you're Mark Few, do you have a choice right now? I mean,
this is a guy that thinks the game gets away from you if he's not there. I mean, he's telling you right now that he thinks the game's going to get away from them if Ike's not there. Oh, boy, here we go.
Ooh. Jordan Pope needed that one. Timeout mark few. Texas with a 62-56 lead with 5:26 to go.
And what was that? Second chance, offensive rebound, wide open three. That's when the backbreakers, the big threes happen a lot of times in college basketball is off offensive rebounds. Hope kind of semi got kicked or rolled his ankle. But that's when those backbreakers. Gonzaga's hit a couple of those tonight, but this is a big one. I mean, you're up 6 now with 5.5 to go.
Jerry, this is the kind of stuff that we're not seeing a replay, but this is the kind of stuff that Dalen Swain does that you're like, okay, it goes beyond just him scoring. He shields that. He gets the offensive rebound, kicks it to Pope, and then shields the defender from him to give him a good look.
Yep.
And Pope knocks it down.
Super smart basketball player. He's going to be a really good role player in the NBA for a long time if he stays healthy. Let's just hope he stays one more year. Let's hope Texas gets lucky because they'll be a hellacious team next year if you get him and Matas and Gooseby together. But he's got an interesting decision to make.
By the way, before Pope hit that three, Nick Cody was your leading scorer for Texas.
Yeah.
Which, Jerry, if you're going to be in a position to win these games, it's the kind of stuff that's got to happen.
You have to have this is March Madness. It's unlikely heroes. It's unlikely heroes and upsets. I mean, that's Pope stepped on a foot. I hope he's going to move defensively, but
yeah,
you got to have unlikely heroes. Gonzaga's played to take Swain out of this basketball game. And what does Swain do? He makes smart basketball plays. He's not forcing. If he's forcing, they're probably losing this game. He's making smart basketball plays. See if Texas can get this thing to 3 minutes where it's anybody's ball game. Let the chips fall where they may. Good finish by Foster. Good player. That was a big deal for Gonzaga this year. He was deemed not eligible after his transfer from Grand Canyon. Initially, they didn't think he was going to be able to play. Then he got cleared right before the season. Without him, they aren't playing right now.
Yeah.
Without Huff's injury, they'd have been a lower seed and got bounced. That was a big ruling they got.
Modest going to the line.
Great pass by Swain again. I mean, when you're 6'8" and you can pass the ball like that, you see over defense. And he's making so many good basketball plays, guys.
He's been your best facilitator offensively all year.
Good for Matas. All
right. And only 9 free throw attempts for Texas today.
More knees. You see those 2 free throws today? Go back and watch his last 6 free throws of the last game. More collected. It was way too much upper body. Yeah. Way too much upper body for Matas late in that game. He was tired. He felt the pressure after he missed 4 in a row.
All right, Jerry. With that modest bucket. Now you've got a 6-point lead with under 4 minutes to go.
Yeah, man. Here we go.
I mean, I'd keep trying to dump it into Modest and go right after Ike.
100%.
See if you can get him out of this game.
And Ike couldn't defend on that one. He couldn't defend on that one. He couldn't foul out. Was this and one or just a bucket?
Just a bucket.
Okay. That kid from Spain's going to be really good. That freshman guard. He's going to be a really good player. No. It's going to come down to the last minute. These games like these always do.
All right. So timeout Sean Miller so we can hit the final media timeout of the half.
Ike's lucky he didn't get his 5th there. Did somebody get hurt for Texas on that play?
Are you at the Swain play, Jerry?
Yeah. Is Swain okay?
Oh, he Modest might have stepped on Modest's foot, might have caught the jewels right there.
Okay.
Or the back of the head, one or the other. He's up, but yeah, that's.
I'd like to see a replay that I get Swain clean on that block, because that could have easily been his fifth. Anybody have a run back of that?
I don't think my software here is sophisticated enough to do that, Jerry. I'd like to thank my subpar local cable and internet provider. All right, 66-64 Texas, 2:52 to go in regulation. Man, this is
all you can ask for.
Yeah, I don't have words at this point.
I'm really happy with this season. Now you just come down to it and see if you can pull off an upset. That's just where we're at, and see if you can have a magical first year. And that's pretty much where we're at right now. And by the way, Texas has 8 fouls, Zags in the bonus. Gonzaga only has 5 fouls. Texas not in the bonus. So key here, Gonzaga's got 1 to give before Texas gets in the bonus down the stretch here. So Texas is going to have to do this with made buckets. Or if they get an and one type of call, but Gonzaga has 1 to call, one to give right now with 2:52 to go. So Texas is going to have to put the ball in the hole a couple of times. A lot of times I get down to these points. I kind of look at, okay, what is the point number a team needs to win? What's the point number? I think if Texas wins this game, they need 75.
Jerry, by the way, Ryan Nelson and others saying
75 is a great number when you look at this game.
Ryan Nelson and others saying that should have been Ike's fifth.
It looked like it to me, but when we were watching this, doing these shows, just like football, it's hard to know because I can't sit there and rewind it and zoom in or anything. So thank you for that.
Real quick update for you seam heads. Texas now the 7-2 lead over Auburn, top 6. Carson Tenney RBI doubles, the latest run scoring base hit for the Longhorns. It's good. He needed that, by the way.
So again, Texas 3 of 11 from 3. Gonzaga's done a good job. Texas has done a good job not forcing threes. Gonzaga 4 of 15 for 3. Okay, Ike has 4 fouls in this ball game, right? So he is down to it in this last 2.5 minutes of the game. Mark Few, when he left him in, he knew he was in the danger zone. He felt like he absolutely couldn't take him out of this game, which is crazy to think about. But I think this is really Texas 7-9 from the free throw line. Credit the Matas for those 2 big makes a second ago, because those are pressure free throws now. That may have been the most pressure free throws he's ever had in his life. Hopefully he gets back to the line later and he knocks them out. But dang, Swain got need in the
oh, it did catch him in the
That should have been Ike's 5th.
Yeah.
Dang. Well, here we go. Oh boy.
Ooh.
Jordan Pope, baby.
Jordan Pope 3, Texas up 5.
75 is the number. 75 points is the number.
Timeout, Mark Few. Wow.
75 points is your number. I can't believe they were helping that far off of Pope to begin with from the wing. He was not attached enough to Pope to be in position in the ball screen. He was chasing that. Whoever that was defensively, that's a big error.
That was a freshman, Saint Superi.
Yeah. He can't be that far off of Pope because then he's automatically in a scramble trail position off a ball screen action. I think Sean Miller, they probably saw that, or Swain saw that. But that was a bad defensive play in that moment in time by Gonzaga. The guy was automatically in a trail position. You can't do that late in the game like that. Somebody's saying he may have been cramping. He better have been cramping because he can't be 5 feet off of Jordan Pope when Pope's at 21-5 in the right wing. You can't play that far off him. It's a losing play. All right, so 69-64 ball is back in play coming out of the timeout. But 75 points is your number, guy. 75 points.
All right. Simeon Wilcher just picked up his second foul.
Is it a shooting foul?
Well, they're in the bonus. So.
Oh, it's bonus. Sorry. Yeah.
But I'm guessing, Jerry, at this point, that's not good because now situationally they can sub Ike to keep him off the floor defensively.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, see.
So, Sean, it's obvious that one got under his skin. He wanted that clock to get to about 2:05 on that possession.
Yeah. I just got to the camera.
Everybody keeps throwing out these ESPN prediction numbers. I hate those in basketball. Yeah, basketball's too much of a game of runs. You can hit 2 threes in a row and you lose a game. I know you just saw something, Jeff.
Yeah, I got the after the Wilcher foul, it was Sean Miller hanging his head in disgust.
Mm. Pope's really limping around right now.
Yeah.
This game does not need to go into overtime. Does not. Texas this is third game in 5 days. This does not need to be. Matas better get out of the paint. That was 4.5 seconds in the paint. Oh, a rim out too. Oh man. Oh. 75 points is your number, guys.
That's a second or third one of those he's had, Jerry.
He's looked really good shooting the basketball tonight.
Great job by Matas on Ike defensively.
Right. Damn, Mark went down. That's 2 threes in a row that were down and came out. Wow. Brutal.
Man. All right. I'm about to see Gonzaga get it to a 1-point game here. I'm a little bit behind.
Yeah, Matas couldn't foul. All right, well, here we go. We're at 32 seconds to go. And we're 69-68. 21 on the shot for Texas. 21 on the shot. Here's my bottom line. You got to score. You got to score in this possession. You do not want 69-68. Can you bring the score back up, Matt? How many timeouts does Few have left? Where's Few at with
one? He's got one.
So obviously, if Texas misses here, he'll call timeout and set up his game winner. Texas got to score here. Buddy Buffy said need a 3. That'd be nice, but just give me 2. I don't want this game to go into OT, but just give me 2. Need a score here, else it's going to come down to Gonzaga. What Few draws up, and if they miss it.
Jerry, if you're Sean Miller, what are you drawing up coming out of this timeout?
You can leave the box score up. I think people want to look at it. It'll be all right. We'll all react to it, Matt. I don't want to put Matas at the free throw line in this situation. I'm going to try to draw up something for Mark in an attack mode. Not settling.
Yeah.
Either him or Swain off the deck. But I don't want Tremont Mark 25 feet with the ball with 6 seconds to go in the shot clock. Maybe he hits it, but he hasn't had that type of game today. I want him somewhere on the move to maybe you can draw a foul. I think Ike might be hesitant to foul in this situation. but I don't necessarily want Matas at the free throw line right now in this. So it's marker Swain for me to see if you can score tough to get to the free throw line. If something happens, you have to kick out for a 3 with 2 seconds left on the clock. That's what you have to do.
Wow. We're about to see it.
Cam Heidi time.
It is Cam Heidi time, dude.
Guys played in the national championship game.
2016.
Guys played in the national championship game. Hadn't done anything all game.
Modest did it, Jerry. That's it. Boom. We're about to see how it goes down, but Texas closes in this final 30 seconds.
Cam Heidi, tough right corner fadeaway. Only bucket he's made, but that guy's played in the national championship game. Role players are important. Somebody's got to be the hero, guys. Somebody's got to be the hero.
I don't know how they left him that open.
Unbelievable, guys.
Wayne got it up the floor to Modest with a run out. Yep.
Sean Miller goes to the Sweet 16 in year 1. Get out of here, guys.
Gary, it is final in Portland, Texas 74, Gonzaga 68.
Good for Cam Heidi.
This.
Hey, by the way, good for Cam Heidi. He's had a rough year. He left a great program. Good for him.
This is one of those deals where we talked about it before the game. Everybody that stepped on the floor needed to contribute.
Yep.
None of us thought you're getting 20 combined bench points from Nick Cody and Kendall Weaver in this game. Modest with the strong close, Heidi with the 3. Pope was really big. Tremont Mark only scored 6 points, but Jerry, to your point, his ability to attack and let guys crash the glass got you some second chance opportunities on offense. Defensively, you guarded the 3-point line against Gonzaga about as well as you could have asked them to. Gonzaga goes 4 for 16. I cannot believe, Jerry, we're talking about this team going to the Sweet 16, but
the SEC is a beast of a league. It's a beast of a league. There are so many NBA players and so much height and length and NBA size, even if they're overseas players. This is a beast of a league. It prepares you for this. And again, Sean Miller now 9 Sweet 16s. He can coach in these games. He's done it. 9 Sweet 16s. Unbelievable first year for.
That's with 3.
Now, will they even leave California? I guess they'll fly home for a couple of days, but they will play in the Sweet 16 in San Jose, California on Thursday.
Man.
All right, guys. Thank you for hanging in there. We got to go do our press conference work, Jeff, because that'll be PC.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for joining this. We will have a live stream for the Sweet 16 game, probably against Purdue. We'll see if Miami can upset Purdue. But congrats to Sean Miller and this Texas team. Hell of a year.
Unbelievable. Jerry, thanks for hanging out. Matthew, thank you behind the scenes for producing it. Thanks to everybody that hung out in the chat. Thank you for all the super chats, especially. Hey, just remind you, get over to ontexasfootball.com. Take advantage of our spring special. 1 year of access at ontexasfootball.com for $39.95. Use the promo code OTFOG when you sign up. Don't forget to like this video. Make sure you're subscribed to the On Texas Football YouTube channel. That way, whenever we go live or drop a video, you're not missing any of our Longhorn coverage. For Jerry, for Matthew, for the entire On Texas Football staff, I'm Jeff Howe. Thank you so much for watching and listening. And until next time, hook 'em.